everyone, welcome back to Coach Quip. I'm Coach Robyn.
I'm Coach Chris.
And this is episode 194. We're getting close to 200.
We're going to have to plan something.
Today we are talking about a subject that came up a lot. We've had office hours with our Edge group endurance group, which are doing primarily half and full marathon for fall. And they asked bunches of questions, and there were some that really started recurring. So we're going to do a couple episodes addressing those, because chances are if our group had issues and questions on it, you might have too. So today we're talking all about how the heck to move runs around during the week when you're in the middle of half and full marathon training.
Yes, so this is just for half and full marathon training. If you're training for a mile race, 5K, 10K, this is not the episode for you. So that would be a different format of moving things around. But for our half and our full marathoners, we want to start this episode out by saying long run is king. That's the first thing that we need to know. So when we're talking about moving things around, we are always going to prioritize that long run.
Right, and it's king because it carries the most weight, right? It's the most significant training deposit. It takes the longest to recover from. We need to be in the best shape going into it, which is why we love things like hydration and quality nutrition before those things. This is all the most perfect thing that we can practice heading into race day, which is why long run is the most important element.
So in this episode, we're going to cover 5 rules for moving around your workouts in your work week.
All right, let's get going. First one is going to be identifying your key workouts and prioritize them. So we know that we have things, I call them pillars a lot of times, our key workouts in the week that they are usually the most important workouts, but they are also exactly that. They're workouts. They're going to be a little bit heavier of a lift. They're going to take a little bit longer to get prepped for and definitely longer to recover from. So if you prioritize those ahead of time and we know which ones you need to get done, you know which pieces of the puzzle you need to move around. So typically these are going to be your tempo days, your speed days, and your long run days.
In our training plan, we have space in between all of these, which leads us to our next one. Number 2 is avoid back-to-back quality days. So we want to avoid stacking, meaning day after day, our quality workouts. So we don't want to put a speed in front of a tempo or tempo in front of a long run with no space in between. As you mentioned, these are the ones that take the longest to recover from. They are the deposits that matter the most. But we want to make sure that we're giving ourselves ample time to recover so that we can hit the next workout. So, in the beginning of a training cycle, when we're 16 weeks out from our goal and the workouts are short, sometimes people can get away with this.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's not a good habit to get into. We want to make sure that we have the space in between. So as you identify those key workouts, we want to make sure that those are not stacked day upon day.
I'll also say 2 more things on that. One is this is true, really great advice for if you're coming back from injury or getting restarted with running. I just had a runner realize that she had some travel coming up over the weekend, and so she literally now can't do Saturday or Sunday, and she's on a 3-time-a-week run right now because she's at Return to Run. Yeah. So she was wanting to do Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and I was like, no, we're not going to do a back-to-back day for you as you're coming back and you're already making some great progress. Instead, let's get out there today. Sorry, because it was really hot today, so she kind of melted. But instead, we did Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and really created some space. The other thing is tempo runs. I know you have already probably listened to that tempo run episode that we did. I think it was like 191, something along there. Tempo runs really are difficult. Not like to scare you. They start with smaller chunks and they add up, but they do leave more of a mark than speed runs, especially the way most of the time. That's the way that we write our programming. It's probably the second most important run that you do. So if you are identifying your workouts and then needing to move them around, I would always rather have that tempo run before or further away from the long run than the speed run. So in terms of scheduling, that just think about that tempo run's going to leave more of a mark than what we want it to, right? So putting it earlier in the week is going to allow us to have a quality long run. If we had to prioritize an order of Monday through Sunday, I would always want tempo on Monday or Tuesday and speed on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then of course long run Saturday, Sunday, depending on where it is in the week. So keep that tempo as far away from that long run to give yourself some time to heal. An example of how we learned this is we used to actually have tempo on Thursdays, and because it just kind of worked for our week, right? That's when we had people had availability to run. And what we were noticing is that we were doing this tempo, let's say at 6 a.m. on a Thursday. And 48 hours later, we were turning around and doing a long run at 6 a.m. That is not enough time to actually heal up from the tempo run, especially when they get to be longer. Again, right now, early in training, you can kind of get away with it. Back half of training, back it up.
And that's really interesting because our speed runs are faster than our tempo workouts, but they leave less of a mark because the intervals are shorter.
And you're getting more relative rest, too.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're getting a ton of rest in between intervals, which is allowing your body to flush and restart and really work on things like form over just completely grinding you down.
Yeah, exactly. So that takes us to number 3. Not only do we not want to stack workouts day upon day, but we don't want to stack workouts within a day. Meaning, if you miss a Tuesday session, we don't want you to pile that onto another day and add it onto another workout. Now,
people do this. This is crazy to me because my brain doesn't even go there.
No.
Like, unless I'm intentionally doing doubles and training for something that requires that type of volume. But I think people get panicky and they're like, well, what do I do with this now?
Right, especially if it's one of the quality workouts, right? If people miss a recovery run or they miss like an endurance run, a regular run, just a easy AF run, they're not as stressed about it. But when they miss that speed or tempo early in the week, people have a tendency to think, oh, I need to put this somewhere else to turn that box green. But again, all of this is spaced out so that you have the recovery so that you can hit your future workouts. And if we start to add on too much in a single day, it doesn't give us enough time in our schedule to be able to recover from that and hit the following workouts.
Well, and if you start stacking in one single day, chances are you're not going to be recovered for a long run that same week, which again, and that's the one we really, really want to protect.
Yeah. The exception to this might be strength. So if you have a day like in our edge training plan, we have Wednesdays as our strength days. And if we have a workout that we have missed earlier in the week and need to add that on, strength can be added on to a workout day. You've famously talked about saving a shower. We know that you're a fan of doubling up on a run and a strength workout. That is an option, but again, it's not at the expense of putting those quality workouts on back-to-back days. So we wouldn't move a tempo to Wednesday if we still have speed on Thursday.
Yeah, and you also, if you're going to do that and you haven't done it before, I would always err on maybe lifting a little bit less heavy or maybe avoiding some of the big jumps if there's like a whole plyo component. Yep. You can do as much as you want with core and upper body, but just be a little kinder to that lower body as you're testing out how to pair those up. Mm-hmm. All right. This one's going to blow your mind, but it's going to be to get creative with the biggest pillar, the long run, the king, right? I know what happens here in the summer and people's schedules. We just saw it this weekend, right? We're talking about this, how much stuff both of us did this weekend with family, with, just being out. It's summer in Chicago. We have finally arrived. So we cram it all in, which means our weekends can get sometimes really, really busy. And I think we freak out because we don't know where to put the long run. So you can get creative with this. I had a runner who recently got married on a Saturday, and it was a destination wedding in the States. He wasn't like traveling internationally. And he had a 10-mile long run, so relative amount of miles. And I had him do it on Wednesday before he left for the wedding. He did his 10-mile I just had easy miles, I think, on Monday, strength on Tuesday, Wednesday, long run, and then the rest of the week, I think I just gave him easy, but he wanted to keep moving, but we're not going to give him intensity when he's going through what is probably a very busy period, but it was a way for him to check the box and get his mileage in. The other way that I really like doing it, honestly, is on Friday, and there's also something so cool about, I've done it myself, getting a long run done on a Friday. You're like, I am a badass. You just feel like I can conquer the world, right? But please, 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 sweet baby Jesus, do not do it the day after a speed run if your speed runs are on Thursdays. Right. So if you have to put a long run on a Friday because you have a busy weekend, we are then going to back everything up and probably do tempo on Monday and speed on Wednesday. Or you're going to drop speed altogether and just do the tempo on Tuesday and do some recovery miles in between. So if you back things up, you got to adjust the rest of that week accordingly. But get creative with it. Not every time. We still want you to train with your groups. Yep. But as a one-off, it's kind of awesome, and you can really enjoy your weekend because you've gotten it done.
Yeah, this really speaks to knowing your schedule in advance, though, right? So, this is great if you have a vacation coming up or work travel, and you know ahead of time, and you can schedule a week out that, okay, I'm going to shift Tuesday to Monday, Thursday to Wednesday, so I can do the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But if you miss a workout because you got busy, because the day got away from you, because you had food poisoning, for a variety of reasons, we're not able to go backwards in time, right? So then you're in a position where you have to look, would you move that long run forward to a Monday, or would you skip it altogether?
I would probably move it forward. I know you just had one of your athletes do this, because I remember her coming in on a Monday and being like, I ran 14 miles this morning. Which is, kudos to her, right? That's another wow, I literally won Monday. But in that scenario, I don't know if you remember what you did, but my guess is she just got one intensity then during the week.
That's right. Yep. And this is the great thing about having a coach, of course, because coaches know your life and your schedule and can adjust things for you on real time. But if you're a person who has just missed a long run, I guess this kind of speaks to number 5, right? Oh,
wait, I got one more nugget that I just thought of for number 4 that's not even in our script that we wrote up. Long runs, worst case, which really isn't like a worst case, is if it has to get moved to like a crazy day, you can also split it up into 2 runs, right? So in the same day. So let's say everything goes haywire on the weekend, I didn't get my long run in, we're going to push it to Monday, and you have 14 miles, you could do 8 in the morning at 6 at night. Right? It's not ideal, but your body truly only remembers the fact that you did the 14. You don't want to do all of your long runs that way, but it absolutely works. My asterisk on that is to try to get more than 50% done in the AM session so that you have a little bit less to do in the PM session, and you're going to be already moving on tired legs and having a whole day of productivity in between. So, getting a little bit more paid forward helps.
Yeah, that's a great solution for it. I only have my ultra runners doing that. None of my other runners.
I've gotten scrappy before.
Yeah.
They'll be like, I can't do it, I'm busy with work. I'm like, well, what if I did 5 with you after work and you did 7 before, and then you have 12? And they're like, okay.
Accountability.
This brings up to number 5. Consider in all of this what week you're in, right? With our programming, our group programming, we will primarily write 3, because we have 18-week runway, right? We can do this 3 weeks build, 1 week recover, 3 weeks build, 1 week recover. Generally speaking, every time we build a week, it's going to build 10 to 15% of volume. And then when we recover, it's going to cut about 25, 27% sometimes for the recovery, right? So if you're in week 1 and you're needing to get creative, you're a little fresher coming off of recovery week. So you could really prioritize your pillars, your speed, your tempo, and your long run. And that's okay. If you need to cut a recovery run, then it can happen. But if you're in week 3 and you're having to cut something, cut one of the intensities, maybe cut speed, and keep the tempo, and keep your recovery runs, because you are operating on a body that is already very much trying to rebuild, and you have to save it for that long run, which more than likely is going to be the longest long run you've done in the season thus far.
Yeah, so that goes back to what we were just talking about. If you happen to miss a long run, this is important to note here. So if you miss a long run in the first week and can move it to a Monday, that might be able to work for you if you cut the speed, move a few things around. But if you're in week 3 or you are in week 15 of your marathon build and your long runs are up into 16, 18, 20 miles, we do not want you to stack a 16 miler on a Monday and an 18 miler on a Saturday. So in those cases, you're likely just scrapping that long run and catching up on the next week.
Yeah, we were talking about that before recording too. Like in that situation, let's say you have 3 weeks of long runs and they're supposed to go 16, 18, 20. We write more progressive than that, but you get my drift, right? So you get the 16 in, let's say the 18, everything goes to hell, you don't get it in at all. That week 3, that's supposed to be 20, I would maybe do the 18, maybe 19. You don't need to do the full 20. We don't need you jumping up 4 whole miles, but even increasing the 2.5, 3 miles on top of the 16, chances are you're going to feel really good. And when this goes sideways, also, calm the F down.
Right.
Like, it actually a lot of times means that you're going to feel really fresh. So don't worry so much about what you're not getting done as much as being like, wow, maybe I'll have some really great legs for this. Like when I have athletes get like stomach bugs and stuff and they're really bummed, I'm like, well, I know you felt terrible, but once you're rehydrated, you're going to feel so fresh and like really, really, really good.
Yeah, if you're a runner who consistently is not hitting like 40% of your workouts in a week, you're missing 2 to 3 sessions, then we're not saying that you should skip and feel like, oh, no big deal, right?
No.
Like if you are a consistent runner hitting your schedule on most weeks, chances are good that you actually could benefit from the recovery day. So I think it takes a little bit of a mindset shift to be like, go from, oh, I missed this, I'm doomed on race day, to I'm going to come back fresher and feel better, and what's done is done. And that takes a little bit of mental training to be able to do that. But you're not going to get the benefits of your training if you are not recovering.
Yes, because fitness is only actualized through
the recovery phase.
That's right. Say it with me, people. All right, one more huge thing when it comes to moving runs around during the week and really following a non-traditional format for a week or two when things go haywire. Use your training software. Please, 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 please. I know that we use Training Peaks. We pay for all of our athletes to have basic memberships. With that membership, you can, once you're on the date or past the date, you can move things around. But if you want to spring for a premium membership, I think it's like $10 a month. That's between you and Training Peaks. You can slide things around, right? I have my athletes, they know the mindset of like they check in with me before they slide things, or they ask me and I slide them.
Yep.
But it really is kind of cool. It's like putting together a puzzle. Even yesterday I was like trying to slide things around with a really crazy week, this current week, because we're kind of midweek, have a holiday and everything's kind of clustering, but it's fun. Maybe I'm just nerdy.
Yeah, you are nerdy.
Yeah.
I think it's tough for people a lot of times because we have a 7-day week, right? If it was an 8-day week, it'd be easier to go, to stagger things.
Yeah.
But it does take some creativity to make sure that we are getting a recovery day, that we're hitting our 3 pillars, and that we're doing our strength work as well. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to check in with a coach. We have plenty here at Edge. We'd be happy to assist you.
All right. Happy sliding things around. Remember, the long run is king. See you out there.